Hello, citizens of YouTube. This is the Geeky Nerd here, and today we're going to be talking about the Midwest Industries SP Suppressor Handguard, and this one being the particular 15-inch length. Before I begin, though, I'd like to send a big thank you out to everyone who's liked, commented, and subscribed on the previous videos. I always appreciate it and always enjoy talking to you guys. But if you're new here to the channel, welcome. And if you enjoy this video, enjoy this type of content, please consider liking, commenting, and/or subscribing. With the PR out the way, let's get into it. So this is part of a main series or mini series of my Ultimate AR V2 and really handpicking every single part that's going into it. The overall build is going to be a tuck suppressor, one stamp AR, and is really going to be picking the best parts that have, at first and foremost, reliability. Considering this is going to be a suppressed always gun or always suppressed gun, it's going to have a lot more additional stresses and strains put on it. And so with that, I want to make sure every part is up to snuff and going to be able to handle that consistent abuse. Second piece is that I want every part to be quality. And third is that I want every part to work as it's intended, not to have any hack jobs or have this, that, go wrong, go awry. Obviously achieved by buying once, crying once with good parts, and also understanding where you could put your money best. Because just because the handguard costs $500 doesn't make it the best handguard, right? And to talk about Midwest, I think one thing buddy of mine has said is that Midwest does a lot of things. They do one thing really well, and the one thing they do really well, they just basically copy it and modify it for everything else. Being handguards, right? If you look at one Midwest handguard, you've seen them. You've seen one. You've seen them all, and they're known for that, and for good reason, right? And this particular handguard is a suppressor ready suppressor variation. Now, what does that mean? So every handguard could be used with a suppressor, not a tuck suppressor. So that is to where you have the handguard and suppressor is going underneath the handguard for that cool guy look. Does it serve any purpose? Kind of, potentially. It's a lot for looks though, right? And that's what I'm going for. And so I chose this handguard for that reason. So just kind of want to show you guys what goes in the box with it. So Main USA, nice box. It does come with some nice instructions, which is cool. Does come with their barrel nut wrench and stickers. Can't forget the stickers, right? But moving the box out the way. And again, guys, it's gonna be a bit of a long video because I'm really just, it's my ode to every single part I put in here. I've even made one on it for a gas tube. So I know, weird, right? But it does come with a single polymer rail, or yeah, M-lock rail section. And here is the handguard. Obviously, yes, I have opened it just to make sure the finish was everything I would anticipate it to be, right? So here's the handguard. So looking at it, it is a very nicely finished. It does have T markings all along the top. But the most important part, right, is that diameter. So diameter of here from the flats, a lot of people say, oh, well, it's not true because they think they're measuring it from the width, right? But no, it is from the flats. And with that, this handguard can support a suppressor with a diameter of 1.5 inches. So 1.5 inches in circumference is what type of can you could put on here. Now, the good part is that I'd say about 90, maybe 85, 90%, right, of all the cans that are out there will fit that. Only when you start getting some crazy bigger calibers will you start noticing that, hey, this isn't really working out. But generally speaking, every 5.56 can, every 30 caliber can is going to fit under here unless it's some weird one-off, right? I will say the flow-through cans, I've noticed they are a bit thicker, but they should work as well. Haven't tested that. I'm doing a high back pressure can because I have an 11.5 inches going here. Again, it's going to be a one stamp gun tucked build, right? But here, talking about the upper again, there isn't really any, I say any type of burrs, anything that's really catching any real sharp edges, but everything is very nicely defined, very nicely machined. You can't see here, it has these like little Midwest industry dimples that kind of give you just some grips, just some texture overall. And finish is fantastic. It is very nice anodizing. Trust me when I say you see cheap anodizing, you see good anodizing. You see mil spec, you see Gucci stuff, right? But not all anodizing is exactly the same. And the Midwest Industries definitely does theirs right. It is an M-lock rail, obviously, right? It does have two screws. You see there, they do already have some Loctite on them. Of course, you can't put more Loctite on it. You should. There's a little indexing key, and then there is the barrel nut. One thing about the barrel nut that you'll see there is, and obviously I haven't taken this out yet because I haven't built the gun yet, but be on the lookout for that video coming out, is that it is, I should say, knurled almost, to give this handguard something to grip on, right? And it is very thick, as far as a barrel nut goes, right? Where you see the little raised lip there is how big the barrel nut is. So you should not have to worry about it rotating, right? A lot of people freak out. They say, oh, I must have a key, I must have an index, what have you, to prevent it from rotating. I was in that same piece, but then I realized a good handguard manufactured by a reputable manufacturer is not going to have that issue. And as long as you follow the standard torque specs, yeah, you're going to have to really rank it on the thing to be able to rotate it. And even then, the thing that should be affected, right, would be your flashlight, potentially your LAM, your laser aiming module, but your main optic should be fine. But to combat that, Midwest has put these little wings on the edge. So what that does is, as it goes onto the upper receiver, it will basically kind of land on those edges to where if it was to, for whatever reason, shouldn't rotate, it'll be stopped by those wings by going left and right, right? So it'll index with the upper and then prevent that from happening. So that is their design to prevent that. But again, I mean, you really can feel the weight of this of this barrel nut here. Now, let me just break out my scale because everyone always wants to say, "Oh, the scale. Uh, how much does it weigh?" Right. So, just breaking this out here, zero it out. You see there, we are 14.9. I just say 15 ounces. So, not. And again, that's with barrel nut included. Um, so definitely not the lightest handguard ever. It isn't a carbon fiber. It isn't anything crazy spec, but it's perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable. Um, One thing as well is that this is made from 6061 aluminum. I've seen a lot, and myself as well, again, for this debate, right, of just making the most reliable AR. I have this philosophy of I wanted everything to be 7075. And I was looking through handguards and I said, oh, everything's 6061. When you really start digging into it, though, for any type of movement, mechanical parts, anything like that, yes, 7075 is the way to go. But for something like a handguard, where what is this purpose, right? To guard your hand. 6061 is perfectly fine. 7075 is a bit harder to get because as you're extruding with the metal, you can lead to some deformities, some irregularities that can affect the finish, and just you have more deads basically that come out of your batch, right? So it's a more expensive process, leads to a more expensive handguard. And really, the only thing you're getting a better strength to weight ratio. So yes, if you were putting this between a door and hanging from it, right, as you're rappelling down, whatever, right, in this crazy world scenario, yes, a 7075 would serve you better. But that's not to say that this would fail you necessarily, because it is still rigid. And considering you do have a barrel underneath, again, I wouldn't worry about that. So 6061, not not a hindrance, not a downfall of it. If you wanted a 7075, great, but you're going to pay for it, and you're going to get something that isn't doing anything other than protecting your hand from the barrel, because as we all know, you could take this off and you're good to go. But here, with that little geeky nerd rant out the way, one thing as well with this handguard that I did like is that with the spacing with my can, I'm going a Gemtech Trek 2, again, for that pin and weld with that 11.5 inch. I found that when the can is inserted in here, and check out the video for the overall build, right? But when it is inserted in here, one thing is that with tuck cans, you'll notice that as you put something M-lock through, it will interface with the can or with the barrel, but more or less with the can, right? So you actually can't use these forward spaces because the screws are hitting the can. I noticed that with this handguard, with a true 1.5 inch circumference or diameter, right, can, that the M-lock screws, unless you're running something very long threaded, isn't going to interfere. Standard Magpul stuff works up fine, doesn't touch you. You don't need to shave down screws, but just one thing to consider, right? Because some people will get on that very bleeding edge and get touching, but you obviously don't want it to touch your barrel at all. But overall, guys, yeah, Midwest is still my winner, still my go-to for the price for this. Pick this up for, they have it listed for a lot more on their site, but pretty much every third-party retailer out there you can find, they're going for about buck 25, give or take. So not crazy expensive, not crazy cheap, solid middle of the road. And I think this is best bang for the buck for this type of build. So with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider liking, commenting, and or subscribing. And I hope everyone's having a wonderful, awesome, fantastic day. And I'll catch you guys next time. See you guys.